Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show, The Niger We Want. Um, Wherever you're joining us from, it may be morning, it may be afternoon, it may be evening. We just want to say welcome. Welcome to your number one show. I would like to say a big welcome to our panelist. Mr. Wale Olaitun is a moderator for today's show, as he always been. Welcome, Mr. Wale Olaitun.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky Omifolaji. It's good to be back on our number one show, the Nigeria We Want. Nigeria We Want. So, which parts of the planet are you reaching us from? Because I know you left Melbourne over a week ago and you've been
Yeah.
everywhere. So where are you? Where are you now?
I'm currently in Alberta, in Edmonton, in Alberta,
Okay,
Alberta state of Canada.
in Canada.
That's where I
Oh,
am. And in a few hours' time, I'll be heading off to Toronto, in Ontario.
okay, in Ontario, Toronto.
Mm.
Okay. So it must be very early hours there because I
Yeah.
know in many cities in Canada and North America it's about 14, 15 hours
Uh,
difference, to Melbourne or Australia in general. So what
yes.
time of the day are you now?
It's currently 4:32 a.m.
Oh
Meanwhile,
wow.
8:30 p.m. on Friday in Melbourne at the moment. So here is
Yeah,
4:32 a.m. on Friday morning, early
on
morning.
Friday morning, yeah. So it's
Mm.
huge, yeah. Yeah, so that's 14, 4, yeah, that's 16 hour difference.
Yes.
16 hours difference. So that's a lot of commitment to get up at 4, for this. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Vicky.
That's all right. That's okay. It's our show. The show has to continue.
Yeah. Takes a
Mm,
lot of commitment.
mm. So, how's your week been yourself?
Yeah, it was good. Just thank God it's Friday. So I had a busy week. School holiday as well. So, juggling work with, that's commitment as well.
Mm,
It's Friday, so you're just looking forward to a more relaxing weekend.
definitely.
Hopefully, if the weather permits, take the girls out somewhere tomorrow. It's been very cold in the last couple of days,
Yeah,
but
I heard so. I heard so.
yeah,
The weather is beautiful down here. It's warm.
yeah,
Uh,
okay.
and it
So it's been
gets
fine. Yeah,
it's light till like around 10 in the evening. It's
wow.
very light. So yeah, so it's good. It's good to be speaking to you from the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's good to see you, and hopefully we have, like we normally do, we have a great
Mm,
conversation. We're expecting a guest panelist, Mrs. Atinuke Lawal of Atinuke Cancer Foundation.
all right.
She's our guest panelist. Hopefully she will join us soon.
Yeah. If our producer is listening, Festus, can you please send her a message to remind her we're waiting for her? So while we're waiting, let's just run through what is trending. Um, I haven't been much into news, but there's this story of a young girl who I can't remember her name, but she said she scored a particular um,
Okay.
she said she scored like 300 and something in a jam, and they found out that she was lying. There's something, it's just nothing is correlating. Um, some some turned it into ethnic problem, that there's
Yes. Yeah.
they're chasing her down because she's from another part of the country or whatever. At the end of the day, what happened? How did we arrive at that? So Mr. Yemi Shodimu is here, so I'll add him to the stream. Hello, Egmo Yemi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good
Hi,
afternoon.
team.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're
So
welcome,
that
I'm
Edmond.
joining you on the move.
oh, thank you. So we're just at the segment of what is trending, and on my part, it's just about the young girl who announced that she scored the highest in JAMB, and the prosecution and the division between our people. Some turning it into ethnic issue. Some raising thousands of dollars and scholarship for her. So, what really happened? Um, there's been some news that she admitted to making that up. Was that the truth or whatever? So for me, that was a case that is trending that I just wanted to mention. Um,
Yeah, I think Egmont will have the final say on this. I didn't follow it like religiously, but it's quite impossible not to say it. Throughout the week, it's just everywhere, all over the social media, people commenting. Like around the like she got around 360 or thereabout, and then there were issues around whether the result was actually generated from the right portal. Some people allege that it wasn't generated from the right portal. Some people allege that it was a complete forgery. And as you alluded to, it took the ethnic dimension, like many things we've witnessed in our part of the world in recent years. So it took that ethnic dimension that she was being persecuted because of that tribe and all that. Yeah, so yeah, but that's just I just followed generally, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it, especially when it took that the ethnic coloration. So they kind of lost me there. But let's hear the final verdict on this from Mr. Yemi Shodimo. What really happened? What is the final analysis on that, Mr. Shodimo?
Sorry, can you hear me?
yes,
Clearly,
I hear you.
Okay, you lost me temporarily there. Um, it's a side development. It's a side development. The young lady came up with a claim, and of course, there was a counterclaim by Jam, and it was after Jam's reaction to it that she eventually, I think she scored 249,
Mm.
and but there was still a counterclaim
Uh,
yeah,
I got-
it's going to having serious technical issues there.
mm, with his
something
2G.
quite.
Egbon, we lost you for a moment. We still lost you.
Okay. Um, Maybe we just continue with what is trending. Hopefully, I go
Yeah.
with. To be honest, I don't really have anything really trending for me. I kind of took that literally from your mouth in terms of what is trending. I've not been paying too much attention this particular week. I've been busy, and but it's unless you live under the stones that you won't know about the what you just mentioned, Iran.
Mm.
Um, Maybe we can just go straight to our topic.
Yeah. Let-
Just while we're waiting for Mr. Shodimo to join us. I don't know whether we have any update from the producer regarding our guest. Um, so if you join us, if you just join us, we are discussing public health in Nigeria, and specifically we're looking at the topic amid rising concerns over cancer burden. Experts call for more awareness against the scourge. So that is the topic. We are expecting our special guest or a guest panelist, Mrs. Atinoke Lawal, the founder of Atinoke Cancer Foundation. She was with us about 2 weeks ago. She was just with us just for some minutes at that time, just to give general information about a competition like secondary school, inter-school competitions and interstate competition aimed at rising, increasing awareness of cancer in Nigeria. So that was at that meeting, Dr. Vicky strongly advocated for her to return for a full interview. So that's the plan for tonight. Dr. Vicky, do you have any updates?
No, I don't have any update. Our producer hasn't written anything here. So, yeah, there's no update. So I think we should just go through what we have there, and then hopefully Egbo and the guests will join us.
I quickly read, because our producer, I just received the kind of short profile of our guest panelist. That's a good sign that she's going to join us. Mrs. Atinoke Lawal, founder, CEO of Atinoke Cancer Foundation. Atinoke Cancer Foundation is one of the few charities modestly contributing to the awareness of cancer disease, a scourge in the present world. It is a modest contribution by a survivor to the awareness of cancer, a disease that has assumed the dimension of a scourge in the world, particularly in Nigeria and other developing countries of the world. Tino Lawal is the producer and director of Absolutely Vivid Limited, a media solution and consultancy company since 1999. A film editor with the trainer, Edios Grasquarter Germany certificates, studied mass communication, and had a postgraduates in marketing from the University of Port Harcourt. She's also one-time Miss NYC Bayelsa State, a cancer survivor, an optimist who is saddled with creating awareness of the importance of the male and female health, empowering others to realize their full potential, while advocating the need for growth and renovation of Nigeria's health sector, an inspirational blogger who boldly told her cancer story to educate and create awareness to the world through social media handles at a time when most women were ashamed to talk about their breast cancer. She's a full member of the Union for International Cancer Control, UICC, Reach to Recovery International, Breast Cancer Society, Nigeria Cancer Society, and an association observer of the Advanced Breast Cancer ABC Global Alliance. So that's very impressive profile of Ms. Atinoke Lawal. Hopefully she's going to join us. But without further ado, I think I quickly go to our producer. He's giving us a very background to the topic. So, courtesy of Mr. Festus Labi, I quickly run through the intro to the topic. As the public health concern increasing worldwide, with developing countries like Nigeria expected to bear the greater burden by 2030. According to the National Cancer Control Plan 2018 to 2022, Nigeria has one of the highest cancer mortality rates in the world, with an estimated 72,000 cancer deaths and 102,000 new cases annually out of the country's 200 million population. The most common cancers in the country are breast, which is about 36.5% incidence. Colorectal accounts for 11.7%. Prostate cancer accounts for 8.1%. Cervical cancer accounts for 7.2%. Ovarian 4%. Gastric 2.6%. thyroid cancer, 1.8%, and salivary gland accounts for 1.4%. A lot of factors are responsible for the increasing cancer burden in the country, which are mostly genetic and environmental. Experts believe that the risk can be reduced through healthy choices like keeping a healthy weight, avoiding tobacco, reducing amount of alcohol, skin protection, and above all, more awareness campaign. So that's where we have in Ms. Atinuke Lawal to talk about campaigns. With cancer treatment centers grossly inadequate across the country, aggressive awareness campaigns remain the best tool for the country to combat the scourge. So we're asking, how can Nigeria ensure effective awareness campaigns to reduce burden of cancer in the country? Without further ado, I will go straight to the panelists, and while we wait for our guest panelists to join us, how would you describe the rate of awareness about cancer in the country? I'll start with Mr. Yemi Shodimo. We lost you temporarily before.
My apologies. I've been battling with network. I've been on the same spot ever since. I've been battling with network, but I hope this stays. Talking about the level of awareness being created, I'm not too sure we're doing enough. I'm not too sure we're doing enough. The platforms are there for us to push this message, but I think what we have more on ground is our individual efforts, like the one Atinuke Lawal is pushing. There are there are a few others like that that are doing their bits, but I'm not too sure we are approaching it from the level of a scourge on the society. We're all aware of what we did in terms of COVID, campaigning against COVID. All hands were on deck. But with cancer, yes, you come up with some awareness info here and there. But it's like not until somebody you know is affected that you really find people talking about it, thinking about it. You find solutions flying left, right, and center. I honestly think the government can do a lot more. I also think that the government can encourage NGOs a lot more to do the needful in terms of awareness for against cancer. The media space is not saturated as it should be concerning information for against. I mean, gearing people up to work against this scourge, and I think it's high time we did this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shodim, on that. On that same question, I will go to Dr. Vicky, just around the awareness. I know that generally speaking in Nigeria, people don't talk that their families have died of cancer. They rather come up with all the excuses. We all have families that you see, like with what we know, living in this part of the world, you see all the signs. You can really, without being a doctor, you can have a good idea what is going on. But you know the family back home, they are going to somewhere else for treatment. So Dr. Vicky, on this, how will you describe the rate of that awareness about cancer? And I also think importantly around diagnosis of the condition.
Awareness, like I once said, it's a no. They're not doing enough. There's no. I mean, when you now take somebody to the hospital and the doctor is saying that they can't really do much, that they should take the person to native place, or they should take the person to church. They are kind of giving up on that person, because there's limited, to diagnose is a big problem. So when they are telling you they can't do much, they don't know what else to do. They've done everything that they can, so they can't do much. The diagnosis, even here, there are things that ultrasound doesn't pick up, that they will now say to the person, go and do MRI. It's MRI that will pick up some certain things, but they don't have that capacity. They have, even the places where they have it, like what we can see on the screen, how many people can afford to go and do their testing there, to go and get their, their scans done there? How many people? How many people can afford the charges? So to have the awareness is one thing and drive it out there, but to make it available for poor people on the street, for anyone to be able to access all this, testing is another. And when we talk about awareness, we know even here in Australia, after so many years of the medical team advising people to stop smoking, to reduce the amount of smokes that they smoke, that people are not listening, and they realize, with the statistics, that there are lot more people having, they are getting diagnosed with lung cancer. What did they do? They made it mandatory for tobacco companies to have real picture of people that had throat cancer, what their throat looked like after they have cancer. That when you pick up a pack of cigarettes, you pick that up, even it irritates you. The fear and the thought that, is that going to be me one day, made lots of people to rethink. That is awareness. Children looking at that will be telling dad, please, at least I know of 3 of my clients that stopped smoking because their children will not let them go. The children will keep, Dad, are you going to be smoking that again? No, Dad, you can't smoke that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to die. And I don't want you to die. Children crying because of the fear of what may likely happen to their father or what may likely happen to their mother, that they had to eventually say, no, I've got to stop this. See, that is awareness. That is making it available for everyone to say, So they make it visual for everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to. All right. So that is awareness there. That is to get to rethink whatever they are doing. That all right. So
Okay.
that's
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vicky. And we finally have our guest panelist, because Mrs. Atino Lawal, the founder of Atinoke Cancer Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us, Mrs. Lawal.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I had to come in very late. I got the information it was a very information. And I had to just put myself together to get this. And in fact, I was sleeping. And
we sincerely apologize, and we genuinely appreciate your time. It was a last-minute decision due to a number of factors. Dr. Vicky is far away in Canada, and there are a few issues around logistics. So it was a last-minute decision, but we genuinely appreciate that, despite the last-minute notification, you are able to join us. So you haven't missed much. We're just talking about the rate of awareness Dr. Vicky, gave some information around that, but also Mr. Yemisho Dimo. So I really want to hear from you. You are the one really, really, doing the work. So from your experience of traveling around the country, what is the level of awareness around cancer awareness in the country, Mrs. Lawal? On mute, please.
Yeah, I said talking about the level of awareness in the country, I would say it's rather very low, very, very low. I started the foundation in 2016, and we've been doing serious awareness creation, very serious awareness creation. And sometimes we try and get as much as 1,000, participants together in some of our events, and yet we've seen that all the effort has been like a drop of water in an ocean. And the reason why I'm saying this is that you go to adults, you put together a large crowd and all that. You talk to them about cancer. You try and educate them about cancer. You even have to do a lot more about cancer to make them listen to you, because the myth around cancer in Africa is seriously affecting awareness creation. And when I talk about the myth, I'm talking about the religious beliefs, the cultural beliefs, the level of literacy. And when I say level of literacy now, I'm not just talking about the illiterate ones that are not scholarly educated. I'm talking about even those that you feel are very educated, are still very literate about cancer in Nigeria, and the meanings they read to it. An average Nigerian will tell you, if you come to them with cancer talk, will tell you, God forbid, it's not my portion. It's like you have brought cancer to them. Meanwhile, you have come to save them from, an impending loom or something like that. But they believe that talking about cancer, they can even contract cancer from just talking about cancer, and that it's an evil spirit, or it's voodoo from it's a spiritual attack. And they also believe that those who have cancer have either offended God and God is punishing them, or they've offended some enemies who is getting back at them or having a clap back or something like that. So it's really a lot when it comes to creation, and awareness creation in Nigeria. You really have to go the extra miles. We even have to give them incentives to make them listen to us sometimes, like we have to do some things free. In the past 7 years, most of the awareness that I have been creating, I have given all the t-shirts that we give at the events, I've given them free of charge. All the kits that we use for awareness creation, because when we do this awareness creation, we also do walks so that we can go around, move around the communities and let them hear what we're talking about. So when you ask them, so we call those walks, we call them walk challenge. We could decide to go for 7 kilometers or 5 kilometers, aside the fact that we're using it to reach our target audience. We're also using it as a form of exercise, which is very okay for everyone to do to keep healthy. So when you do such awareness creation, in my own events, I've had to give most of the shirts. Most times the shirts are given free. I don't even bother to sell, because an average Nigerian that has not eaten the 3 square meals, you're asking them to come and buy a t-shirt of about 3,000 or 5,000 naira to listen to cancer. He's wondering what is that going to do to him, or how has that helped him that day? He really doesn't understand. And we give free health checks as well. We do checks like breast cancer examination. We do checks like cervical cancer examination, and this is free. We even added HIV tests to it as well, and we do general checks for free to just get them to listen to us. Aside that, we feed them at the end of the day, give them snacks and all that to just get them to listen to us. Meanwhile, I've traveled to countries outside of Nigeria, international countries. I've joined their walks. I've been to Scotland, I've been to Prague, I've been to London. I've joined their walks. And I see that when you go for such works, You pay through your noses to buy, through your nose to buy the kits. You buy the t-shirt, you buy the band, you buy everything that they're using for the work kit. You don't need to feed them before they listen to you, because they all understand what cancer is, and they know it's a scourge, ravaging the whole world, which Nigerians don't see. They feel that Nigerians see it as an attack a spiritual attack from the enemy, or because of your offense to God, or your generational curse or something like that. So it's it's really a lot of work in Nigeria getting people to listen to cancer talk. But thank God, there's been an improvement from that time, 2016 till now. Now people ready. Some people are ready to listen. Even before you even tell them to come, they're telling you, please, when next you're having your next event, I would like to be a part of it. And that's because we've made it very easy. At a point, we even had to play a novelty football match, which we involved about 30 Nigerian Nollywood actors to come and play football match for people to listen. And we had to choose football because we know Nigerians love football. And then Nigerians love Nollywood anyway. So the two were some tools that we had to use to attract people from Nigeria to get some of our work done.
Thank you, Ms. Lawal. I have to pause you there, and I will definitely, come back to you. And I think the most important thing out of this is that you've been creative. You earlier in your conversation, you made reference to some of the challenges around creating awareness and get people along. But along that same line, you became creative and looked for what ways to really attract people. You reach out to the celebrities and you think about, okay, Nigerians, they love their soccer or football, and you use that to bring people together. So that's a very creative way of creating awareness. So time is not on our side. I'll go to my next question now, and definitely I'll throw this open to the panelists. Nigeria is regarded as having one of the highest cancer burden in the world. What are the factors, in our opinion, that is actually fueling this rate of cancer in the country? I will go to Dr. Vicky Omifolaji.
I remember a few weeks ago, we actually talked about skin lightening, and, the impact of it on our women. And one of the major impact or what that is still doing to our women is cancer. Skin cancer. I mean, when we talk about skin cancer, it starts with skin cancer. And when it spreads to other parts of the body. It spreads to the lung, it spreads to other places. And by the time it gets to the lung, it's almost, there's nothing else they can do. So the fact that people, will I say, it's not because they're not educated, but because they never expect, or they, like our guest said, God forbid bad thing, no be my portion. I think that's, by the time they do that, that's it. It will happen to them. We are made to believe everything our guest said is exactly what is in our people's minds, even here, whereby we can do tests. I mean, as soon as you knock certain age, there are tests that you must do, and government pays for that test. Prostate test, cervical, you have to go for that test every 2 years. You have to. As soon as you are 40 years old, as a woman, you must go for that test. It's called, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but you must go for it. Government pays for it.
They drop the kits in the letter boxes,
yes, for men,
so that you can pick it, and you can, I think you'll be seeing it every month, wherever you put it, that you're reminding you to go for that test.
Exactly. They know what, but even hot, we don't have that awareness. Or even if we've seen something on the TV, it's like, God forbid it will happen to me, and that will be the end of it. But it's happening because people are not, they're not taking it seriously. They are not expecting it to happen to them until it happens. No one wants, those people who were diagnosed with cancer, they didn't call for it. They didn't ask for it. It happened. And when it happens, what can they do about it? So the awareness is one thing that we need to keep talking about, keep pushing out there. And I was listening to our guest speaker, and I remember I've done few things in here, in working on the awareness, in working on raising funds. I did for 35-kilometer walk last year. I paid to register to take part. And every kilometer that I walked, my friends, my family members, they raised funds. I think at the end of the day, I raised about $1,500. Despite the fact that I walked 35 kilometers, I flew to the place where I did the walk. I paid for my hotel. At the end of the day, it was thousands of dollars that came from my pocket just because I wanted to raise funds for cancer awareness, for an organization that is more into cancer. I mean, why did I do that? I did that because I know there are some people that needed it. You know, so our mindset, we need to change it. It's not because I'm not praying for cancer. I don't want cancer. But there are other people that their life depended on the treatment. Their lives depended on, the research that they are doing, how to do things better. So whatever amount that I'm raising is towards that. All right. So our mindset needs to change in Nigeria. Not everything is caused by village people. Not everything that happens is caused by a friend that became enemy.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky. Mr. Yemi Shodimo, just on that same factors that are responsible for spread of cancer in Nigeria. And then I'll definitely come back to Ms. Lawal, to provide a more, more robust answers to that. But Mr. Yemi Shodimo.
Let me quickly say that it's exciting to have Atinuke on this show. It's also important for people to know that Atinuke is a survivor. She's not just the founder of Black Cancer Foundation, she is a survivor. And lastly, it's nice to know that she has remained as beautiful as ever. She doesn't look an inch of what she has gone, of things she has gone through. And let me also thank her for the opportunity of being involved in the last program that they organized. That program gave me opened my mind to quite a lot of things, and I'm sure people who were part of it and who are still being part of it through her continued feeding of information. Yes, feeding of information from even that particular program onto the public. People are still getting more and more aware. But let me say that the issue of early detection is a big one. It's a very big one. And of course, that was drummed into our ears on that day. I want to say that our religious belief is a major hindrance to a successful waging of war against cancer. Dr. Vicky said something earlier about people, maybe at a point in time, doctors giving up and asking people to probably be taken back to their spiritual base or whatever. I want to say it's more of the reverse. It's more of the reverse. When people are suspected to have an ailment that cannot be easily diagnosed by their relatives or by some quacks in some funny places. The next thing is to seek spiritual help outside medical. And now they lock those people up in those homes, in those religious places, and while they are doing their supplications and all that, the situation gets worse. It's now when it gets out of hand and very late that they think of seeking medical help, by which time most times it has graduated to a level that they may be helpless about it. So it's important. Listen, there's nothing wrong with praying, but for God's sake, seek medical help first and back it up with prayers. Ensure these people get the needed medical help. I mean, it was Atinuke's program, the cancer program, that inspired me to put a few words together in a song, which has to do with early detection, getting the right information, and of course, getting the right treatment. Listen, I'm borrowing words from our program. We can kill cancer. Or better still, let's kill cancer before it kills us. So information is very vital.
Definitely.
It is very vital. And I'll go along with Dr. Vicky by saying that we need to change our mindset. It's a lot of it's entrenched. It's very deep. Moving people from point A to point B is not a joke here, but it is doable. With people like Atinuke leading the way, and of course, he brought in quite a number of experts, and there are quite a lot here in this country who could be of help. And I guess what we are doing right now is part of it in terms of enlightenment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashodimo. So I go to Ms. Lawal now, and I want us to touch briefly on the factors. I'm aware Dr. Vicky and Mr. Shodimo, they've covered on some of the factors, but I want Ms. Lawal to wrap that up with treatment. Treatment remains critical for cancer patients, but such centers are very scarce in Nigeria. So what options do people really have? So if you could just combine a part of some of the factors driving the spread, and also, go into that area of treatment, of cancer with no real centers available. What are the options available to the people?
Okay. Thank you. Firstly, I'm going to let you understand that cancer is a no respecter of no one. It doesn't care if you're rich, poor, old, young, fat, thin, it's just a no respecter of no one, and it can happen to anyone. My prayer is that it doesn't happen to any one of us. I can agree with you less, Mr. Shodimo. Our people really, really need to understand that God, as important as God is, medical care is also very, very important. So as you're doing your treatment, call God. There's nothing wrong with that, but ensure that treatment is done. You get medical care. Now, you said, what are the options available to the people? I would say that Nigeria is a lot better now. At the time that I was having my own treatment, the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, that is LUTH, was the only hospital that had the radiotherapy machine in the whole of Nigeria. Before then, during the regime of Obasanjo, President Obasanjo, he had bought about 8 radiotherapy machines in about 8 different teaching hospitals, but 7 of them packed up. And the only one that was working, which was the one in LUTH, The nonlinear accelerator that was working was being used by thousands of Nigeria all over the country. This same one, whenever it would get, it would break down, and they would have to use the parts from the ones that are broken down to correct it. It was getting so much, it was being used by so much people that, it kept breaking down and all that. But thank God today, as we speak now, 2019, during the regime of President Buhari, he commissioned about 3 radiotherapy machines in Luth, the same Luth, which means that, and they're world standard. They're very, very up to date. And then he also commissioned in some other parts of the country. We have in Abuja, we have in UCH. The one in UCH was repaired, and we have some other ones functioning, which doesn't mean that we have enough, equipment in Nigeria. Now we have some private hospitals that have their own radiotherapy machine. At least I know of one in Lagos here. Apart from the one that was only working in Luth then, there was the Cobalt 60, which was being used in Eco Hospital. The Cobalt 60 is also a radiotherapy machine, but the difference is that it was a very old model. It's just like using the Android phone and then using the table phone that we had back in those days. Both of them are phones. They're for communications. You can use them. But we all know the difference between the Android and the table phone. Now, we have, in the whole of the country, we have just about 84 oncologists in the whole of the country. And that's a doctor that treats cancer. As it is now, as we talk now, brain drain has moved some of them out of this few 84 out of the country, which means we have reduced ones. So now I would say that talking about the options available to people, we don't have so much options, but we still have places that when people get educated, they know where to go to. You have to go and see an oncologist when you are diagnosed of cancer. When you get to your doctor is supposed to direct you to an oncologist, who is the doctor of who treats cancer. You understand? So we have very few of them, but we still have places where you can get this help. We have Luth as an oncology and radiotherapy department. They've had that since, even while I was doing my treatment, but it's a better place now because it has more equipment. Aside the radiotherapy machine, they have other equipment. They have the chemotherapy chairs, which we never had during my own treatment. Back in the days when I was doing my treatment, we used to sit on the plastic, the normal party chairs, the blue, the different colors, Nigerian party chairs, those old ones. That was what we used to sit on to take chemotherapy. So they have some equipment now. I mean, they have the chemotherapy chairs now, which makes, and they have a chemotherapy room where the patients take their chemotherapy and they sit comfortably while they're taking. So, things are a lot better. It doesn't mean we're where we ought to be. We still have a long way to go compared to international countries, but at least we have this equipment in some places. So what we need to do is pump in more awareness, pump in more education, pump in more knowledge to people. Let them have this knowledge. When they know what to do, when they know where to go to, when they know where to get help, when they know that they need to present early, would have reduced mortality rates.
Thank you.
So for me, I would just say that education, knowledge, awareness is basically it. And that will help to go a long way, even though we don't have as much equipment as they do in the high-income countries.
Thank you very much for elucidating more on that, and I'm sure we have opportunity towards the end of the show to be able to talk about practical interventions. I believe there's a place for awareness. I believe there's a place for education, but I equally believe that in a Scourge like this, there is actually a place for intervention, direct, intervention. But we get to that later. Can you still hear me?
I
Yes.
can.
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
I think you can. Yeah, okay. So I'll go to Dr. Vicky now. Looking at the time, many experts say government doesn't see cancer care as a public health emergency. So what can be done, to change the narrative with people that are actually the policy makers and the decision makers? If they don't see it as health emergency, then we are in a big trouble in terms of what kind of policies are they going to really come about, what kind of decisions they're going to make around that. And if you looking at the time, if you just try and link that up with what Ms. Lawa mentioned around the brain drain, like we have doctors who are supposed to actually, he said, as a last count, they had 84 oncologists. And as we speak, maybe many of those oncologists have already jackpot out of the country. So how many oncologists do we really have on ground? So it's just like combine the two. How can we change the narrative on the part of the government in terms of, for them to see it as a public health emergency, and also around how can we get more doctors to be able to treat our people that are already battling, the disease. In 90 seconds, Dr. Mifolaji.
So the first thing is that you can't expect them to take anything seriously in as much as they are able to quickly fly to wherever they want to go for treatment. So to them, it's not important. So if they have cancer, they know where to go. So for those on the ground that are suffering, that are facing, that can't afford to jackpot to go anywhere to get treatment, they are the one facing it, and they are the one that need to make more noise about this. Those in the power, when we can make a rule that if you are sick, this is where we are. This is where you are ruling. This is where you get your treatment. They will change the way things are done. And that includes making sure those that are trained to treat them are being looked after. Because what will make somebody leave their home country where they know the culture, where they know the language, and move to the other part of the world where they need to assimilate and write many, many exams to be able to get the system and get started, not from where they were in Nigeria, but even from below, the lowest. What would make somebody make that decision? What would make somebody to say, I'm ready to start even from the beginning, from the minors, in as much as I'm not in this country? So that means the country is not suitable enough. And why, the reason why the country is not suitable enough, that is not giving them what they're actually looking for, is because those in the leadership, they have the means, they have the opportunity to get out and go and get treatment somewhere out there. And when they go, most of the time, when they go to those places that they fly to, it's usually Nigerians, 70% of the time, Nigerian doctors that treat them. Nigerian doctors that treat them. So things need to change. And how would that change? There must be a rule, a new rule. If you are leading, if you are one of the political leaders, you are staying here in this Nigeria, where you go to the hospital where the others are going to and get treated there. Before the Queen passed away for many, many years, when she's sick, when she goes to her country home and she gets sick there, they just take her to the hospital locally. She doesn't go to Germany. She doesn't go to Paris. It's because the home is good now. They have good hospitals. So our people, our old leaders, they're not investing, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Why? Because they have the means and the opportunity to fly. That needs to change, because if that doesn't change, they won't have any vested interest in all this. They won't do the right thing by our people.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky. And I'll go to Mr. Shodimo, just around the same topic, public health emergency, making cancer public health emergency. How can we change the narrative? Dr. Vicky just said, look, they won't really invest in that area because they have the means of going to the best hospitals across the globe if they are sick or their family members are sick. So, but for an average Nigerian, how can we change the narrative? Because it involves changing the narrative to get government to really put it right there on the top of the agenda, and most importantly, for them to have policy and invest in that sector. How can we change that narrative, Mr. Shodimo?
Well, Dr. Vicky has said quite a lot, and I'm conscious of this time, but I must quickly say that the electorate, it comes back to us, getting the right set of people into power. For as long as you are sentimental about your political affiliations, for as long as you are sentimental about your ethnic affiliations and tribal whatever, and you think it's based on that you keep pushing the wrong set of people into power, will just be going around in circles. For as long as sprained ankles and fever is good enough for a reason for leaders to jump on the plane and go to the other client to get treated by the Nigerians who jackpot from here, for that long will we have this issue. We really have health emergencies, or rather we really have health situations that are treated as emergencies. Maybe COVID was an eye-opener. It made them change their mind a bit, but cancer deserves more attention than what we are giving presently. It deserves a lot more attention. And just as I said earlier, people like Atinuke and people fighting to ensure that we win this war against cancer should be encouraged, by all means. Government needs to do a lot more. She has just reeled out figures, and I can tell you those are not even the exact figures there, because I know that equipment-wise we are far behind. We are far behind, and to make it worse, personnel is depleting by the day, and the victims are not reducing. The patients are not particularly reducing. So we need to do, I agree with that, we need to do a lot more in terms of awareness, in terms of knowledge sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Egbon. So I'll go back to Ms. Lawal now, and that's to do with, I want to talk about interventions. We've spoken a lot about awareness. We're talking about some of the factors driving the condition in Nigeria. So I want to hear, as an expert in this area with your, wealth of knowledge on this. So from the private and public sector involvement, like most things in all part of the world, is that collaboration, public-private partnership. What are the key interventions that could address the problems that people are facing in Nigeria in regarding cancer treatment? And also, practically, before you join us, Dr. Vicky was talking about something that was introduced here in Australia. They call it plain packaging. Plain packaging.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
They call it plain packaging of cigarettes. Like when you pick it, just an awareness that really works significantly. So they remove all the logos or symbols or the marketing or all the brands. All the brands from tobacco products. They were just packaged, plain packaging in a brown box or in a brown something, and they have this very graphic image on it. And the images are people that are suffering from different form of cancer, throat cancer, lung cancer. They have it right there on that pack. This is what you're buying. And that really worked here. You can check it out about, cigarette plain packaging awareness campaign in Australia. That really worked at the time. So in 2 minutes, what are the key interventions, and if you could dwell on how we can actually promote policy and research as well as part of that intervention. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'll still go back and hammer on creating awareness. It's very big it's an intervention that will work a lot for us. as much as plain packaging is very good, is a way to dissuade people from, probably smoking cigarette or tobacco or something like that. We should also think of the fact that some people have lung cancer, which is caused by the same tobacco, and they never smoked before in their life. So when we're talking about plain packaging, it's a very good way of, dissuading people from smoking or, trying to get out of the risk of cancer. But does plain packaging, does it work for those who have never done this before? That's one. So that's why I'm going to say creating awareness for me, I'm still going to go back out and hammer more and more and more on it. Now, the mindset of Nigerians, I'm going back again to that, is quite different from a white person's mindset about cancer. The white person has knowledge, they have facilities to help, they have several other interventions in place. If we go back to our government, the reason why they do not believe they do not see cancer as something they should put a lot of time on is because they have a mindset, which is still the myth, the culture, the religious belief that it is not a disease that happens to just anybody. It's an attack. It's still back to that African culture or African belief or the religious belief that it can be solved by going to church and not something the government should solve. So we need to work even on the government. Let's all get this education. Let's all get this knowledge. Let's all get aware. When we all know that, it's not about spiritual attack. It's not about a religious belief. It's not about, God doing miracle or something. Then we would know that. Then that is when interventions will work. So when we're looking at interventions, we need to think about the low medium income countries, and then the difference between the low medium income countries and the high income countries.
Okay, so Ms. Lawa, do you see a place for the academia in this? Like in most parts of the world, there is no one size fits all approach. There are lots of multifaceted approaches in terms of trying to address this problem. Do you see a place for the Nigerian academia? Most of the global treatments in cancer treatment globally, they emanate from universities and research centers. Do we, as part of your awareness and work, do you collaborate with universities in terms of creating that awareness, but at the same time promoting research that could lead to breakthrough treatments? Is that part of what you do within your organization?
You can only do that if you have a country that already believes that they should research in that wise. Now, we just had NICRITE, Nigerian Institute of Cancer Research, which was launched recently. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago or so. The institution had just been created. So we thank God that now, maybe with that, we'll be able to start collaborating with such institutions. But I'm not sure if, aside the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research that does research and all that, I have been collaborating with Nigerian Institute of Medical Research since 2017. Every time we have an event, an awareness creation event, they are the ones that help us to do the cervical examination for free. So it's a collaboration with them that has made that possible. So we really, like you said, I'm believing that we would have more institutes coming up with such, research, more universities coming out so that, people like us can continue to collaborate with them, and other people interested can also collaborate with them, volunteer and collaborate with them.
Thank you very much. So time is fast spent, and I think the producer will not be happy with me, but we're on a very important topic, and I'm sure Mr. Alabi will just give me maybe a couple of minutes just to round up. So I'll quickly go around the panelists just to have your final words. I will start with Mr. Yemi Shodimo.
Let's do the needful. Let's enlighten people. Let's pump enough resources in educating our people to effect early detection, early presentation, and of course, getting the proper treatment. Thank you.
Dr. Vicky Omifolaje.
Hospital first. Hospital first. Medical opinions, medical intervention, and then, yeah, we can do that as well as pray.
Thank you. Ms. Lawal, thank you again for joining us, and I'm sure I will hand over to, before I hand over to Dr. Vicky to close the show, I would just want to thank you for joining us and also just give you the opportunity, for your final words to reach out to people, how they can support what you do. Please, you're doing a fabulous job. We're happy as a platform to associate with you. You've got the last, 60 seconds to say your final words.
Okay, I'm just going to say that knowledge conquers cancer. This was coined by the American Association for Clinical Oncologists sometime last year, and they're beginning to build on it. They also understand that knowledge conquers cancer. Knowledge is very, very important. And I'm also going to use Let's Close the Care Gap, which was coined by the Union for International Cancer Control, that's the UICC. In 2022, it's a 4-year program for the World Cancer Cancer Day. For the next 2 years, it's still going to be Let's Close the Care Gap. This has enclosed in it every area where the care is not reaching everyone. So if you, for those that may be interested in supporting our foundation, you could send a mail to fyoucancer1@gmail.com, or you could also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, on Let's Kill It, Let's Kill _IT on Instagram, Let's Kill It ACF on Twitter, and then on LinkedIn at Tinuke Cancer Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tinuke Lawal. It's a pleasure listening to you, and you can see you're very passionate about what you do. God will continue to bless you. So I hand over to Dr. Vicky Omifolaje to close the show.
Well, my thanks goes first to Mrs. Tinuke Lawal for joining us on this important topic. Awareness is what you're all about, and this is what we're trying to do here as well. So thank you for joining your voice, or for allowing us to join our voices with yours. Thank you so much. Good job. Continue to do what you do, and we'll keep supporting you in our own little way. And to our moderator, Mr. Wale Olaiton, thank you once again for another great show. Thank you for doing a great job. Egmoyemi Shodimo, thank you for joining us. I know you're a busy man and you're on your way to another event, but thank you for taking time out for us to do this. So we appreciate you, all our viewers.
Dr. Vicky.
Yes.
Dr. Vicky, just before you say to our viewers, please, let's appeal to our religious leaders. Allow our people to get medical information, medical aid. It's not every ailment that is caused by spiritual attack. Please.
I think it's our people that need to, thank you for that, but our people need to open their own ears and their own brain. They need to hire themselves some brain. Because if a leader is using a security guard to secure their own security, and you are following them like Momo, it's our people that need to open their brain. This is not, I don't even know, Egbo, thank you. But more than, it's something that we all need to keep talking about. The religious leaders, they use security guards. Religious leaders, they don't use olive oil, anointing oil. When they are in jam, they also have guns when it comes to it. and our people will be following them like mumu. Don't they go to the hospital? Don't they go overseas to go and see doctors? But God will help us all. So our viewers watching us right now or joining us later, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and let us all do the needful. Hospital first, hospital intervention first, medical intervention first, prayers on top of it. Thank you, everybody. Till next week, Friday, same time, same place. You all stay blessed. Take care.
Thank you.
The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. The Nigeria we want. With Vicky Omi Folaji. Yeah, me show the moon. Wale your light on. I can see what you cool. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. On PKO show. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa.